Oh dear, dear. A lot of people have been making videos recently on the decline of the F1 game. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my turn. Now, I should point out, this graphic, the graphic that I used, the thumbnail, is from F124 Game News and Info. I'll leave a link in the description. I recommend you go and check his Twitter page out as well, because Josh has done a fantastic job in, updating everyone with news on the progress as well. But this graphic came out. We'll come back to these figures as well, because there's also been another Overtake article that was released today. But yeah, you can see here, there has, since F1 2020 came out, my team, 1.2 million sales copied. Now, obviously, a pandemic probably helped increase this number as well, because obviously people couldn't go outside. So yeah, but the fact that we're down here on F124, it's just not. Yeah, things are not going well for EA and F1 for EA, because there's lots of rumours that they are going to lose their license, that the Codemasters will not be making the F1 game, possibly next year, although I don't think that's going to happen, but hold that thought as well. There's been a lot of talk amongst the community on who's going to take over the license as well. You'll have to wait and see about that as well, because yeah, let's actually look first. Josh has made a list of who he thinks could take over, then I'll have my thoughts at the end of the video. Natural fact, just scrolling through this, this tweet here, the whole F1 esports could be over. FOM not happy about the return of investment last year. However, this year might be drastically less, because of course we saw the debacle with F1's esports on F1 23 when we had one round and then it took 3 months before we had the next round or something like that. That was a debacle. What happened with F1 esports. Eventually they did actually just put it in a studio in Stockholm, but that's not the point. The fact that it took so long, debacle. I do not think that F1 esports will happen on F1 24, considering what happened firstly on F1 23. And also the sponsors, they don't want to be, they don't want to be putting the time and the money into this, because they're not getting the return. Nobody wants to watch it. So yeah, it is a problem. Do you think F1 esports will come back for F1 20? Well, it would be next year. F1 24 on this game will probably have no F1 esports. Probably we'll have to wait and see about that. So yeah, here are Josh's most likely candidates for new developers as well. Reza Studios. I've not heard of this developer. I'll hold my hands up to their F Ultimate Gen 2 for AMS2A. No, that's not that. Again, I've not heard of them, so I don't know what. I can't personally do that. This one I think is more likely. Ubisoft have been probably yeah. They've got a lot. They need. Well, there's sort of this lull happening with Ubisoft, and they got so many different departments, a bit like EA. I've not Ivory Tower, which I believe the Crew, and obviously they've already made an F1 car in the Crew, and the Crew 2 as well. The Crew Motorfest, the latest one. They've got the Red Bull cars in there. Now, obviously, whether or not how realistic that would be, it would probably be more arcadey than anything. That's just how the F1 game is. But then that would probably go to based on sales, rather than being that simulation experience that a lot of the esports players would want. that's just something to think about. Should we go with Ubisoft? The next one is another one. Kyloton and Nacon. Again, RWRC, which I played once on the old RWC series, and I didn't like it because they didn't have different camera views. I felt Dirt Rally was a much better game, but that's just, we're talking, 2016, 2017. As well, again, other than that, I've not really heard of it. Of course, one big one, Kunos. Kunos, for those of you who don't know, Assetto Corsa, as well. But that wouldn't happen just yet because they've got Assetto Corsa Evo, which is a big project for them, and they've not even released it yet. And I think it's slightly delayed, actually, Assetto Corsa Evo, which is why we haven't seen it as well. And the final one is Motorsport Games, as well. Who don't have... I don't even know if this lot, Motorsport Games, I read something that their IndyCar license, they made the game and then didn't their board of directors quit or something like that. Let me know in the comments below, but something rings a bell about them. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be taking over. There is another possibility, another developer that hasn't been considered by Josh, but I'm going to hold off on that just for now. And I'm going to move on to Overtake's article, because this came out yesterday at, mid 11 p.m. UK time. But yes, again, I'll leave a link to this in the description below as well. Basically, an entire generation has grown up on Codemasters, because they've been going since 2009 as well. But obviously we've got as well. Now this is the interesting sentence here. It had been extended long term until 2025 in 2019, which again I did question at the time why give them a long contract. But I will admit that they must have had presented FOM with a business plan. I presume that at some point, this was before we had Breaking. I think it was before F1 2019 came out. F1 2018 hadn't exactly been the best game as well. So yeah, I did question that. But obviously 2019, we had the introduction of Breaking Point. F1 2020 we had the introduction of My Team, and since then it's sort of trickled downhill. F1 22, F1 23, F1 24 haven't exactly got the money in. As I'll show you the figures. As I say, they're only Steam figures. I don't believe it's easily attained console figures, which might be different, but there we go. But yeah, so until 2025, so the contract runs out next year, 2025, and the option to extend over 2 further years if certain performance thresholds were achieved. And I think we can all agree those certain performance thresholds have not been achieved at all. As well. So their contract expires next year, and there is no rumours, nothing. This is another reason why I think we've got all people are talking about different developers. Sony, of course, could be, obviously 2003, 2006, but I'm pretty sure they're probably not going to be interested in coming back. Because they're probably focused on Gran Turismo games. But yeah, as well. Obviously the sales are a concern, and again you've got to ignore F1 2015 because it is literally we all know it's the world's worst game as well. The fact of the matter is F1 24's sales on Steam are now behind F1 2019's sale. And look at the launch. It's back to F1 2018. It's down. Figures have halved down. You can see there the launch month concurrent player peak has been stable since in F1 2021. It's actually higher than F1 2020, and this is the problem. F1 23, F1 22. That game just launched horribly, and therefore it just flopped. This is why some of these are high. 2021's actually got the highest peak of all time players. I presume that's possibly around the Christmas market or something like that. The same with F1 23. F1 24 probably not going to have the same figures. Like, I know we're still short of the Christmas peak, but possible Christmas peak, because that doesn't always, as you can see from these figures here, that doesn't always happen as well. But this 134,000 does not go well. Despite this, though, F1 24 still making money for EA. EA Sports. It's the third highest revenue. One of the three main revenue. Excuse me, that sentence isn't correct. It's it's behind FC24 and NFL24, which I'm pretty sure were games that were released in 2023. Obviously, they are. I mean, S of course. I don't think F1 is really going to match FC24. Football's a much bigger sport than F1 as well. Are we going to see an exciting F1 2025? 2025? I don't know. But I do think that we're going to see a decision on... I would take the decision to extend the license is going to be decided before this gets released for sure, because they want a developer. F1, and this is also the thing. 2026 is a big year for regulation. It's a big engine regulation change. You've got Audi coming in as well. You've also got new engines for everyone. You've got 4 coming in as well. That's going to be a big market, and FOM will want to push sales of the F1 games as well, both F1 and F1 Manager as well, which F1 Manager seems to be doing well. I believe that license is also going to expire as well, but obviously they're doing a lot better, especially the fact pricing, I think, has also hurt F1 24. Like, the game is still more expensive than F1 Manager as well. And obviously 2025 we've got a big challenger to every racing game coming out, and that's GTA 6. You are taking a lot of players away, a lot of especially casual players, a lot of that market away from the F1 games, because that is such a huge game. That will probably be the best-selling game of 2025 as well. Who knows? Who do you think is going to take over the license for 2020 from 2026? Now, I'm going to mention this because before F1 23 came out, I made a video that FOM could be monitoring what FIFA had planned at the time, which was to release its own game with a group of small developers. I think the plan at the time was to produce a group of small developers as well. Since then, obviously, nothing has been mentioned. Now, this article you're seeing on screen now is from the BBC. Again, another one I'll leave a link in the description below too. There's rumours that 2K Games could be interested. Now, obviously, as well, there are issues with some of the 2K games that were brought up, and this, of course, remember when Codemasters was up for sale? If you recall, when Codemasters was up for sale, back in the end of 2020, 2021, start of 2021, when before EA sealed the deal to buy Codemasters, 2K Games was going to buy Codemasters. Just think about that. Would 2K Games be interested in making an F1 game if the license came up for it? They've at the end of the day, it would be a license that would come up, be readily available, and whether or not this FIFA game happens soon, that would be huge for 2K overall, and another blow in their war against EA, against trying to pinch things from EA Sports. They've had interest in making the F1 game before by trying to buy Codemasters. They failed. Would they then go on to take the license? Obviously, Frontier is another opportunity. Would they make both F1 games as well? I don't quite know. For me, EA and Codemasters, I presume that they showed, to get that long contract back in 2019, they showed FOM a preview of what's to come, be it Breaking Point, My Team. Two big... I know Breaking Point hasn't exactly gone well. The storyline, let's just say, isn't the best. But you got something like... But obviously My Team, probably one of the most successful game modes. Obviously they switched up this year because My Team has been, let's just say, discarded really by Codemasters and EA as well. But obviously, this year's game mode has just not been... They called it overhauled, and it really wasn't as well. But let me, as I say, this is your chance to let me know in the comments below, what do you think is going to happen to the F1 game? Who is going to take it over? Will we end up with, remember when Sony, those of you remember when Sony made their last game back in 2006? Will they? I'm pretty sure that FOM will want to have an F1 game made for 2026, and they want that to be the best it can possibly be, selling absolutely thousands of sales, because we all know that we're fearing 2014 again, when one engine is going to be dominant over the other, and obviously we've got multiple engine manufacturers. We've got Audi coming in, as I said, and to an extent Red Bull, Ford as well. So they will want to be pushing that as well, and again we've got new aerodynamic regulations as well coming in, the end of DRS as well, and the introduction of push to pass. It's a big change for F1, and they want the F1 game to push it. They don't want what happened in 2014 when we end up with cars that sound like lawnmowers and look like hoovers as well. But yeah, I've rambled on for a little bit too long. I apologise about that. As I say, this keep your eyes peeled. What news about this is just around the corner. Don't be surprised if you see 2K Games making a move to scoop up the F1 license as well. But yeah, as I say, if you let me know what you think in the comments below. If you are new around here though, please do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. Until the next video then, I'll see you next time. Take care, thanks so much for watching, enjoy your day, and goodbye.